Well, after the return to home test worked, I was confident enough to put a mission in it and call that a maiden flight and try to start recording a larger amount of telemetry data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just testing the platform more and more. A automated mission gives me the ability to just supervise what's going on and try to react to any problems, which there were several today, but we won't get deep into a lot of them. So here's the mission at my big field that I set up. I usually park right in here, and I chose that point to be inside the field. This is a very large river. Well, it's only 50 feet across or so, and 5 or 6 foot deep at this point. It's the French Broad. It gets very large in Tennessee, etc., before it goes into Little Tennessee. Anyway, I just chose 6 waypoints. I think it calls this one waypoint 2. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then turn back towards home here for the 7th waypoint. First is a takeoff to 100 feet right here, and then fly to this waypoint. Again, everything here's at 100 feet. Boy, did I mess that up. Scared myself there with that one as the flight went on. And after you reach waypoint 7 here, the waypoint 8 as it is return to launch. Come back to where you took off and land. Pretty simple flight. This should work well. I had problems with it. First of all, when I've created these in the past, all you have to do is go into auto. I think you used to be able to arm in auto. Don't think it would let me arm in auto today for some reason. Some of these things I'll have to redo the experiment on and try to catch these points in more detail, because some of them I didn't make notes on or anything. Because I tried to take off. Used to, you would make a mission like this and arm in auto mode and raise the throttle above 50%, and the motors would ramp up. It would take off, go up to 100 feet, and take off to its second waypoint. Today it didn't want to do that, and I'm not sure why. The radio did say it was going into auto, but then it wouldn't arm. So I dropped back and armed it in altitude hold mode. And after it was armed in altitude hold mode, I hit auto and raised the throttle above 50%. It took off, but as I'm reviewing the data now, it took off in altitude hold mode. It wasn't in auto. It went up, it started drifting to the right, which is over in this area right here, which is not towards that waypoint number 2 right there. So this is the first time it's ever done anything like this, so you can't tell if the compass is wrong, etc., etc., etc. So I did put it back in altitude hold mode and pulled it back into this area right here closer to me, because little 5-inch hard to see real quick. Doesn't have to be far away before it's hard to see. Found even below the tree line today, you can see it as a gray spot pretty easily, or my eyes are working pretty good. I don't know. I was impressed by my vision entirely today. I looked at the monitor without even using the focusing hood or any kind of shading at all, just the brim of my cap, and I could see it. Eyes is working pretty good. Anyway, when I pulled it back into here, it was up pretty far in the air. I did touch auto again, and at that time it did take off and headed for this waypoint. Now I'm going to tell you, I'll just switch over. You can see where these waypoints are. I'm going to switch over to Google Earth map of that same field. This pen here is where I usually park. And this is a huge field. I mean, look at this. From this corner here straight over to here is 0.84 miles. It's nothing but a sod field. There's a irrigation pivot sticking up in it, but that's it. Everything else is knee height or less. And most of it's grass for selling, and it's just 2 or 3 inches tall. I don't even think it's 3 inches tall. So that's 0.84 miles. From here to here in this field is 0.66 miles. And even just straight across, here, drop that so I can click clear on it. Okay. From here, just straight across, come on. Straight across the field to where the tractors and stuff parks for the sod company right in here, which I shouldn't really be flying close to them. That's 0.47 miles. That's 0.49. That's almost a half a mile across the field that way. And I was only getting 10 satellites. So we're going to talk about them new GPSs, but I just want to stop there for a second and just show you how big the field was. So again, I tried to click right in here. This is a prominent river in our area, and this is the road, 2-lane highway, rural area. This is way out in the boonies. This road comes around here. And there's some houses right here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses right here. This is a golf course up in here and some residential areas. And I don't want to bother any of these people, you see. Now the field itself, if you include what's on the other side of the river, right now I'm confining myself to inside the river, is of course much bigger. Don't want to really fly around these residential areas over here, these houses. But from right there, oops, come on, click. From this part of the field over to here is a mile. From here, there we go. Actually, this field is bigger than I'm showing you. It keeps going down through here. This is the first road you come to, so technically it goes from right here all the way up to here, 1.8 miles. That's my home field, what I would like to call my home field. And again, this portion of it right here is just all a sod factory, a sod company growing grass. Got a high voltage electrical lines coming through here, right here, comes up to a 90 degree right here, and then starts going down through this cornfield over here, this way, right through here. Here's their right-of-way cut here, but I'm not going to cross this road, and you can see the river continues. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about my flying field that much in the future. Here's the golf course. This mountain over this way is fairly unpopulated on this side right in here. One might be able to sneak up over that property without drawing too much attention to oneself until you get near these. Looks like somebody's, who knows what that is? Might be a house back in here too. And then of course these are all easily viewable over here. Some housing development. But anyway, so that was my intention. I would build a data flash file of more minutes than I've flown this thing so far. The little 1400 milliamp batteries only really fly it for 6 minutes or so. I'm not sure about the 4,000 milliamp hour lithium ion. So I used the 1400 milliamp hour battery today to do the return to home test, and then I switched over to the lithium ion battery for this little mission. I did not change my failsafe voltage. I left it at LiPo levels, which means that was definitely going to bring that thing home on a battery failsafe very soon, before, a long time before it would have damaged it. But I need to set my home. Set home here, yeah. I'll pull some of that back. This is what my mission was most going to look like. There we go. But I've never flown much here. I only started flying here 2 years ago. I wasn't sure about this distance. I figured it would be on the edge of seeing, and Pam kept it in her line of sight most of the time. We did screw up and both look at the monitor at the same time for a second. Oopsie. But I didn't want to turn this corner and go out in here yet, or any of this. I did not want to go out over the water. And remember, we're at 100 feet because, man, you'll see it in the video. We might as well get to some of the video, huh? That's what we watch this stuff for, right? And we'll start out with my view from the GoPro on top of my hat.
Auto.
Okay, you heard the radio say auto. I pushed the button, but it didn't go into auto. The platform did not go into auto, and we'll see that later in the OSD data. And you can easily see this thing is not going in the right direction. And I'll eventually pull it back towards where it's supposed to be going here.
That's not where you're supposed to be flying.
Bluetooth. Auto.
Good Lord. Say goodbye. Glitch cleared. Can you still see it?
Telemetry lost.
You're only going to be able to see some of that monitor and not very well. I'll correct that in the future. But I do have the over OSD to show you of that, so it's not a big deal. By the way, the monitor worked extremely well. My eyes could see it extremely well. I'm not even using that sunshade. I've just got it where it's not facing into the sun.
Come here.
Telemetry recovered.
What? You'll have to take your glasses off.
Telemetry recovered.
There was something going on that had me pretty scared, but you'll see that in a minute.
That's supposed to
Telemetry lost.
go down there. And that'll turn back, go to one more, and then this will turn to return to home. And hopefully it'll come back to us. Well, doesn't say to return to home, but it's coming back. Still says auto right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're developing data.
Telemetry
Okay.
recovered.
Get back away from the car. It didn't seem to land perfectly. It's traveling.
Motor disabled.
Okay.
And it all worked as advertised. That's the part I like. And that's how we brought it home after that. No scratches even, much less broken parts. It was a great day for me. First time I'd ever looked into an FPV monitor with a live feed to a platform flying in the air, period. I think. I've done the rover on the ground, but never. Don't think I actually looked at it on one of the little airplane flights last year. But that's just the point I'm at in my thing. So let's look at the run cam real quick on top. And again, I'll have to wait till the OSD data to show you that this was truly in altitude hold mode. And it was supposed to go up to 100 feet. I kind of raised the throttle to keep it from going down, but you see it's drifting to the right. That's not going up to 100 feet. That is also not the direction of the first waypoint. So I started pulling it around myself, and I don't have the other voice overlay here, but then I get it up, loader it, get everything positioned, and then I touch auto again. There's where it's going into the actual flight now at 100 feet, and it goes over towards the river. And you'll see when I call Pam over and start worrying in a minute. It was just supposed to go over towards the edge of the field. I didn't want to go over the river, didn't want to be over water or nothing. And instead it went too far and went right down the tree line at 100 feet. And right here I started going, oh crap, I can't quite see. I didn't want to trust my eyesight, and I'm looking at that dead branch going, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I decided just to hang out. But you can see if I was on the other side, the other bank, that tree on the other bank is above 100 feet. Now it's turning down the field through those other waypoints, and it's back out over the field, which is what I intended. I'm trying to find the perimeter of this field and start getting it in my mind as pilot orientation. So I go down here to where the river turns back to the left, and I'm going to turn back towards home and go one more waypoint towards home before I invoke return to home. You can see how big this field is. Why do I only have 10 GPS satellites locking up? I'll fix it. You know I will. So here it is. It's stopping at the last waypoint. And it's invoking return to launch, return to home, whichever way you want to describe it. Got that big irrigation pivot turned around 180 from what they usually have it. And you can see they've been irrigating and they got that field wet. And here it is coming home. It's a nice flying field. But it sure scared me. I'll show you more in the OSD data. There was a tree on the other side of the river right down near that bend was much higher than 100 feet. So I'm going to have to readjust. You can sort of see the towers there for the electrical lines too. I got to stay above all this stuff. Reorienting itself to the direction it was facing when it launched and landing. I was happy the whole way home. I came home with all my parts, none of them broken, none of them even scratched. Better not get the big britches. Next time I go out, the Tron God will really let me have it, won't he? And done for the day. I had a third battery. I left it charged and packed up. I wasn't a fool. I did have my notebook with me. I could have programmed another mission, etc. But this is what I intended to do. So I stopped at the end of what I intended and didn't go any further. Last video and the best video is the Evoque snail with the OSD overlaid. There's lots of problems with it. The throttle percentage doesn't seem to work right. The RSSI or link status, whatever that is up there, doesn't seem to work right. The biggest thing that bothers me is I never get more than 10 satellites hooked up, locked up. And the rest of it has to all be looked at. I don't think there's any reason to have airspeed or wind speed on this platform. We'll be looking into all of that. And then I'm going to dig through the data flash logs. But if I find anything really outstandingly strange in the data flash logs, I'll make another video. So I'm not going to go into those in this video and stretch this out any further. So let's look at the best video. And right off the bat, you can see in the upper left, it's an altitude hold. No matter what you heard the radio say in the GoPro footage, it's an altitude hold. And the 8%, 9% on the throttle is not going to show you that I just put the throttle 50% or higher, because you can do that in auto mode to make it take off. And you can see this is when it was going the wrong direction. It's just blowing in the wind. And that's me starting to pull it back towards takeoff point. 89 feet, 90 feet. Put it in loiter so I didn't look at the monitor to see how high it was. I just wanted to drop it down a little, put it in loiter to do that, just so it would be pretty controllable and it'd kind of stay right there. Then that put it back into auto and went up to 99 feet for the 100 feet and took off towards the river. Oh my God. There's that glitch cleared. I gotta check that out later. I think it's a GPS glitch. And again, it wasn't supposed to get this close to the trees. And this video shows the trees, to me, better than the run cam. I think the run cam angle's wrong. And there's where I started the puckering. That one really bothered me. You can see, like I say, that one on the left side of the river right there would not have cleared. There's one on the left right there that would have been touch and go. But boy, let's see if we can see when we get down here to this bend. See, it's a fairly big river, 50, 75 feet across. This is the headwaters of it, where I'm flying, real close to the headwaters. Down in Asheville, it's a quarter of a mile across in places. And you see that big tree on the left right now, the whitish one, and look at the dead one there. I would have gone right into that dead tree right there. So 100 feet's not good out here. By the way, the platform stayed at 100 feet, within 3-4 feet. Of quite well. We're headed out to our last waypoint. And we hit waypoint 7, and we'll stop and think about it. It doesn't change from auto in the upper left, but you can see mission 8, return to launch, in the center of the screen. I kept trying to find it in the upper left on the monitor I was watching, and it doesn't change up there. So the feet per second vertical works, the altitude works, battery sort of works, it hasn't been calibrated, throttle percentage doesn't work, home arrow works, straight, feet to home works, HDOP and SATs locked works. Finally got 12 there, whoopee. I don't care if it's 8 or more, I'm happy. And I think the ground speed works, but we don't have any kind of airspeed. I didn't tell it to do any of that. And the RSSI up there at 30 straight over the transmitter is not right. And the timer up there, 3 minutes and 39 seconds. It's the longest this has flown so far concurrently. So I've built almost a 4-minute data file to go through, and that'll give me much more understanding of everything that's happening. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it off here. Say thank you, and we'll see you again real soon.